Yes, today we're studying your palms to find out where your creative talents really lie. Maybe you're a poet and you don't know it. Well, if so, here on the show is our man in the know, palmist Robin Lown.
You're fired.
Oh, that's dreadful.
Yeah, it's not a very well hidden talent, actually. So, what do you look at first of all then to find out if you are creative at all?
Well, a lot of it depends upon the makeup of the person, obviously. It's genetic as well as environment. It's the nature-nurture argument, as psychologists would say. How you're brought up, what potentials have you got genetically? Well, if we look at the board, very quickly, just to recap, we go back to basics. If you have a square-shaped palm, it's active and physical. If you've got a longer palm, you're more applied mind. In other words, you're a bit more laid back and indoors. Other people are physical, active and outdoors. If your fingers are long, you're going to take time. If they're short, you're going to be a lot quicker. So there's one window to look through. But if we look at the palm particularly, there are certain strong indicators that you can pick out. It's fairly straightforward, actually. If the logic goes right, and we can just point here, this person hears their feelings, and it's the way their mind activates. So we're talking about more to do with mind, and this is the headline we talked about last week. And if it's nice and straight, a person is logical, and generally, probably quite creative with logic. In other words, they'll talk you through things easily. Somebody with a line running down here is more creative. So there are two indicators. There are others.
Just looking at ours, I'm nothing like that at all. They're all over the place.
Well, let's go back again to basic. Can I put your hand just in front of the screen here so viewers can see? Remember the pockets we talked about, energy pockets. This is creative, this part here. You can tug that bit here and get a mount. It's called a mount. That bit there is quite creative. And other people's hands you'll find is creative here, and this chunk here is also creative. So we have two pockets.
Wasn't that also sex as well?
Yeah, because, again, creativity is all to do with energy, creative energy. So if you're creative that way, it's quite likely you're creative in life too.
So tell us we're creative. Tell us.
Well, you are, look, it's very strong areas of pockets, but the other pockets are here.
Building it up.
Oh, I see. Massage, probably.
Working it away, trying to make it bigger.
These pockets here are called mounts. And these particularly show quite well. If we can just bring that to the camera and have it flat there, if we can just move the hand, you can see large bumps in the middle there. And if people actually look at those bumps, it's the ones towards the edge of the hand here, under the little finger, which is more to do with the creative, the ring finger and the middle finger. And if you've got a large lump, you can always pick hold of it with Jane's hand here. Look, you can grab a hold of that mount. That shows creative area. Can you see yours, Mark?
Yeah.
Huge one.
Oh, my God. Yes, we can pick hold of it there. There's a bump there. This is also a large mount of Moon, a large mount of Venus, and that little bit there is also creative.
Okay, so that tells you, yes, you have creative potential, but
Yes.
Can it also tell you in what area, then? Does it tell you, whether
Well,
you're a musician or an artist or a...
Let's go back to what we said. If you've got long fingers, you're going to be more technical. So there is a person who's going to activate and do technical work. If you've got short fingers, you may not be so technically accurate, but you'll be active and try many things. So if you like the stay-at-home applied mind is the longer hand, long fingers, and the more go out and get them type is the square hand and the very splayed fingers. Remember, last week I think I mentioned that if these gaps are very large between the fingers, then this person is outward, extrovert. The introvert is the longer hand and the very closed hand, closed fingers, and of course the closed thumb as well. So you get the two types of people. Well, I suppose we're talking extrovert, introvert, really.
We're talking about an outlook on life as well, really, aren't we? Your whole philosophy of life, in a way.
That's right.
And is that what you mean by when you say windows on life?
Yes, the window of life for a person with a very splayed hand like this would be active, physical. They are square-shaped, but it's a little longer than square. So it's a square shape which is active and physical, a little longer. They would apply themselves fairly well. And again, this person will be expressive. So that, in its sense, is expressive. But more important than that, children. Children are very much... I bought a handprint with me today of a child, age 9, and you can see here, this is a real print. Splay of the hand. This child will then be expressive. The little finger moves well away from the hand. This is the sign of a bit of an actor or an actress. Same for girls as well.
Parents, really, isn't it?
Yes. And the thumb being wide as well. Very physical, a little devil-may-care, doesn't matter, he would try things. Very physical. Very square hand, practical, down to earth. Let's look at these lines. Quite a straight headline, applied mind. And here we can see where those bumps would be, the Apollo underneath the ring finger, little finger. There are lines, distinct lines of creativity.
So how would that help the parent of this child then to know how to kind of direct them in life?
Well, I would say for this parent, square hand, this person likes logic, likes to be active, physically active, very expressive, lots of words, enjoy life, and certainly the headline here needs logic, needs structure. So we've got a very physical child here, needs structure, and the very light lines also indicates a nervousness. Lots of lines creeping across the hand, little tiny lines, a nervy quality. So calmness with this child, needs a calm approach.
Is that a thumbprint there?
That's a thumbprint, yes.
Why?
Thumbprints often show intensity. And if it's a very large, long thumb, this one's quite dominant. It's got a lot of character, this thumb, quite a dominant character. If it's very intense, a whirl on that thumb would indicate more intensity and creativity.
Every time you're here, we just spend the whole time going...
So there, the stamp of creativity would be also in the fingerprints as well.
Can you, I mean, obviously to me, because I don't know anything about it, it's all hidden, but I mean, can you spot hidden talents in someone's palm, you know, that they actually are kind of in the wrong job at the time they should really be doing this other thing?
Yes, quite often what happens is that you get a very expressive hand with these expressive pockets, and it's all gone very tight. It's gone very quiet. And those sort of people do need to be in a different job. In other words, the job is grinding them down. And if they are naturally expressive people, they need to expand and express. So yes, somebody who, I mean, it's the difference between Frank Bruno, I suppose, and Danny DeVito. I mean, you know, they're two different sizes, but they're both extremes. And yet both are very creative in their own field. But remember Frank Bruno, long fingers, big hands, technical. Danny DeVito, bigger than life, you know. That expression.
When you said it's gone very tight, you mean the spaces in between
the
the
space
fingers?
is closed down, and the thumb certainly closes to the hand. So when you see people who put their hands down on the table and they don't splay out, they're actually tied. These people are holding a lot of emotion in, and those people need easing out. And I've often find this with people who are stressed. The close of the fingers, close of the thumb, and that person needs expression.
What about weaknesses? I mean, can you spot kind of weaknesses in someone's creative urges?
Well, it depends how you look at weakness. For some people, a weakness can be a strength. It can be made into strengths. If this child had a weakness, I would say its weakness at the present time, by the lines, are its nervousness. So it's not these lines running across here from the thumb. Lots of them indicate activity of the mind trying to make decisions. So this is a nervy quality. So yes, the weakness of this child is probably its nervousness to express. Probably can't quite do it because they fear. So take away that fear, and this person will actually bubble up and express and actually be larger than life.
Before we leave the child's hand, I mean, how early can you really start looking at is it a baby's hand you can look at, or...?
Well, the hands do grow. I mean, you know, the hands do change with time. It's a bit like a world map. It changes with time.
Really? The lines actually change?
Yes. Well, of course, it depends on the nature and the nurture of the child. So it's environment and activities it undergoes. So.
But from early on, you can look at it and you can have an idea of what kind of personality the kid's going to have.
You can, from a child when they're probably even from early age, from 2 years old onwards, I should think.
Can you be really specific, though, about, you know, you're talking about people's creativity, about their jobs. Can you actually tell this person's probably a gardener, but they should really be an artist?
Right, well, you can have a creative gardener, can't you?
Well, true.
In a sense. So it's all relative. It literally, the square hand would be there for a gardener. There are types. You would have shorter fingers, action. So therefore, that's what they're about. But creativity actually will show in areas of their hand that they are beginning to move on from there. Fingertips, for instance, which I've mentioned here. Here the square is the down-to-earth, here's the expressive, and here's the person who actually looks deep into their subject.
Let's have another look at those again, actually, down in the...
A square finger and fingernail, down-to-earth, wide, splayed, expressive, this is more creative, and the longer fingers are penetrating. So, penetrating mind. You wouldn't find a gardener with this.
Wonder he'd get dirt under his nails, didn't he?
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much. That's excellent. Well, you can all go away and look at your hands. After the break, Supercook Leslie Waters is going to be getting my taste buds and my pheromones all mixed up when she dishes up some fantastic fusion food. See you in a minute.